Hello there, fellow Kerbalnauts, and anybody who likes watching Kerbal Space Program videos. This is Mr. Gilly, guys, with our first tutorial. I've called it the Talk Through Tutorials, and this series, or mini-series, I'll be showing just some basic things in KSP that, well, should kind of help you if you're new to the game. This is a bit of a shout out to Huey Boyle, who has, well, just started KSP and watched my Orbits to Minimus video, and he said it kind of helped him out. Glad it did, but that was a bit outdated, so this is a new one, and this is 0.19.1, so hopefully this will be a lot better. So trying to stay up to date here. And I'll just turn my sound down a little because this is extremely loud on my earphones. Alrighty, so this is going to be an episode of how to reach orbit. So I'll talk you through building the ship. So this is all going to be stock. Let's just say we use the Command Pod Mark 1. We get a bit of height by left clicking on the pod here, and you can scroll, as you can probably hear that. Yep, there's some proof. And left click again and get rid of it. Now the first thing you probably want to do is add an ejection system. I probably have one here. So I'm just going to be showing you how to make one of these. So what you want to do is grab a mini decoupler, you turn it upside down, and now I'm scrolling in by pressing the middle mouse button, or mouse button 3 I think it is, just holding that and moving my mouse forward and back. Now I think I use the long support beam and go to aerodynamic. And we'll put a little, where is it? A little nose cone on it. And we will put some solid rocket boosters on here. We shall use 6. And automatically that should sort of adjust to it. And we'll just click that, excuse me, to place them down. As you can see with this symmetry mode here, by right clicking and left clicking, you can change your symmetry. So say I wanted to put 2 of these on, but oh no, there's 4 there. I right click that twice and I get 2. If I press X, that will also increase the number. If I hold Shift and X, it also decreases. But anyway, same with the angle snap. I just press C and that will change it. I like to keep mine on unless I'm sort of precisionally placing stuff. Now, of course, the command pod can't make it back down on its own with an escape system, so we are going to need to put some parachutes on that. We'll just use these radial mount parachutes. Now mainly I'd put a docking port under this. Just a miniature one. So it's good for docking and when you're in orbit, and also getting rid of stuff like the LES, the launch escape system. What you want is a decoupler here, and one thing I always like to have is advanced SAS. Now this is going to be our upper stage, so what we might have, you can play around a little bit here. We're going to have a miniature, excuse me, wow, excuse me, miniature fuel tank and the LV909. So this is the part that's going to be making it to orbit, hopefully. Now, what we want to do here, put another decoupler under that engine. And tell you what, we'll actually put a reaction control system on this, or otherwise known as RCS. And we'll take this off take this off, and by clicking this button you can see your center of mass. You don't have to worry about center of lift or center of thrust for this rocket. So we get our RCS thrusters and make sure that's on 4 and just get right in the middle of that. Put these back on. As you can see, if we use these it changes the weight around a fair bit and it's hard to kind of tell. So we know that that's going to be straight. Now we want our second stage. So this is going to be sort of like this will sort of boost you from the end of your gravity turn to a full orbit basically. So what I'm going to do here is put a probidobidine octo 2, and the reason I'm doing this is so you don't have any space debris, because trust me, that gets really annoying. And we shall also put 2 of these down. Now I've just hit S or W and that also changes it. Play around with that. If you hold down Shift and press W or anything else like WASD, Q and E, that will, you know, play around with that, have some fun. Mainly used while creating space planes though. We'll save that for another episode. And actually we won't worry about struts till very last. So now this is going to be pretty light for the LVT-45 engine. So this is the one with gimbaling. It's a little heavier, but we kind of need it while we're in space. Now this thing's got a little more power and it weighs a little less, but they're more for the launch engines and whatnot. Well, I prefer to use them for that. So because this is going to be a little light, we may as well put some extra fuel on it. So we'll do that. And now what we shall do is, we could do this a few ways. We could build some sort of like liquid boosters on the outside that feed fuel to this thing. Or, probably going to do it this way actually. We'll get another decoupler. And we will find, if we can, the tri-coupler. I can never find this thing. There it is. So this is going to be our first stage. So this is obviously going to go up and bring us back. Well, it's going to fall back. It's probably at most just going to make it on a suborbital trajectory. And my dog's just come in to say hello. Hey Bendy. So with this one we'll definitely want to use the LVT-45. And just to stabilize it a little bit, we will put so to stabilize it, actually we'll use an AVR R8 AVR8 winglet. Okay, so that's what our rocket's going to look like. We're not quite done yet though. Now we want to focus on the struts. So because these aren't connected to anything, they're just going to, when the fuel gets pretty low, so down to about here, third of the way through the last tank, these will start to wobble a fair bit. So we'll put this here and we'll strap those together. So they'll hold each other together. And now we shall, just under these RTGs, or the generators, we'll put another 3 going to these just to hold everything still here. And we obviously need some on here if it wants to work with us, just to hold that abort system down, because that will start to shake a little bit. And we'll put some under this decoupler and onto the fuel tank so that doesn't wobble. Okay, almost ready. Now, just so these engines don't have all the weight on the rocket on them, we'll put these down. Now these are launch clamps. As you can probably tell by the name, they hold the rocket and basically let it go when you want them to. We'll just straighten them up. And that's about it for the building side of things. You want to play around with your staging. So these will release with those 3 engines. And okay, so that's going to decouple after these 3 engines run out. Then that engine there's going to light. And that's going to decouple. That engine should light. Uh-oh, we got something wrong here. Now we want this here to decouple with these. So we're going to make a new stage and we'll bring that down here. And with the rockets as well, those little SRBs, solid rocket boosters. And we probably want those to separate just before we ditch this stage. Or we can put that on top. Let's make sure this is alright. And we go to our action groups on this tab up here. We click abort, and we click on these little SRBs, the separatrons. We click activate engine and decouple here. Now custom 10 I'm going to put it as. I will activate those engines and decouple that. So that will get rid of all this launch system for me if I manually want to do it. Anything else I want to set up staging for? Nope. Really? Except for the fact we'll put solar panels on it. Which it doesn't really need them, but we'll put them on there. Hey, because we can. Okay. We'll just put some simple SPB number 2. And we'll hook those up to our first action group. Okay. Now, because I'm in a Mac, I have this small problem. So I'm just going to name the ship. And we shall call it the Orbital 1. Why not? So let's save that and let's launch it. Alright, so the launch pad has loaded and it looks like we're ready for our very first fully orbital flight. So we'll just turn our resources tab on, and as you see down here you got your RCS. If I press R, that'll turn that on. That's for our monopropellant, our reaction control system. And the SAS, so the stability argumentative system or something, stops you from spinning, and if you got one of these it'll keep you pointed in the direction that you want to. So, pre-launch requisites, I think that's what it's called. We will turn on our SAS and we'll throttle all the way up to 100 by pressing shift. As you can see, Jeb is pretty happy, ready for the first launch. And just test to see if these solar panels work. Yep, they do. Come on, come on. We'll bring it back in. Time a little. Okay. So in 3, 2, 1, and we have a launch. So I'm kind of got my finger hovering over the abort button right now, which is delete. And that's the way I want to keep it, because yeah, I'm trying not to kill as many Kerbals as I can. Sort of like a permadeath, but more of like a challenge I set for myself. But anyway, we want to keep going straight up, and as you can see, our altimeter 2200, our speed. When we get to about 10 kilometers, we want to pitch over to about 60 degrees. So using the A and the D keys, which for our yaw, we should easily be able to pitch over to there. As for the time being, we'll just wait for our flight to reach that certain height. Okay, so we're on our second fuel tank now for that. And so this is called a gravity turn, what we're about to perform. If you press M, you can see our orbital trajectory. So the place we're basically going to go, the flight path. So 9.5, we'll just pitch over ever so slightly, keeping everything nice and neat. Try and keep that HDG, the heading, on the 90. Let's play with our roll a little, and now we'll pitch over to the 90-degree marker. Throttle down a little bit to about 2/3. And we just want to keep it there. Okay, we'll cut the throttle here and press 0. That gets rid of the escape system. Just throttle up a little bit. So our tanks start to deplete. There we go. We hit spacebar again to start the engine. There we go. So we want to start leaning over just a little more now. And we'll press M to have a look at our map. So that's at about 52. This is a good spot to be, about 25 degrees. And we'll just use Q to roll over a little more, so Jeb can get a nice look at space from the cockpit. Okay, we want to start pitching down a little more now, and we'll pitch to about 5. So we want to get this to about 100 kilometers roughly. So 69 kilometers is where the atmosphere ends. I know, funny, bit of a coincidence. So now we'll pitch over to 0. 75. So we're building up a fair bit of speed now. We're in space. So 80, 82, 83, 84, 05. So we'll start throttling down. This can be done here as well. So control. And X to cut the throttle. There we go, we made it to space. So we can use the period key and the comma key to fast forward or slow down time. So now we want to lean over a little more to our marker there. That's our prograde, that's the direction we're going. And we'll turn the SAS back on so it keeps us pointed on that direction. And we'll try and get our periapsis to about 100 kilometers. This is going to be the lowest point of our orbit, our periapsis, and the apopsis is the highest point of our orbit. So, now that we've made it to space, we still have a little bit of fuel left over in that. Just for demonstrational purposes, I'm going to get rid of that, and we'll switch to this thing as we can control it because of this little probe that I've put there. And we want a little bit of fuel left in this. And we face our retrograde marker, which is there, which is the opposite direction that we're heading, and we'll burn full bore. switching craft with the, I don't know, it's below the plus button and the minus button next to P to the right of it. I don't know what they are, I'm sorry. Yes, we made it to space. Now we shall deploy the solar panels, keep our energy up. It is always vital. Now I'm just going to fast forward over until I get about here. Now I'm no good with landing or using the atmosphere to slow me down, so I'm taking a rough guess here. And I'm going to burn my periapsis to about 30 kilometers, say. $32 seems good to me. So now we'll try and land at KSC, so that's here. And we'll tuck our solar panels back in so they don't get burnt off. Oh, I forgot to test the RCS. So if I hold down my SAS, I press RCS, so R, I can move with the WASD, Q and E, or I can use I, K, J, L, N, and H to move me around. We use that later though for docking. It's not really important at this current point in time. So when this starts to burn up, we shall probably slow us down a little more. Probably a good idea. And so if you want to EVA your Kerbal, you can do this. Just click the EVA sign. And there you go. Same controls as flying a spacecraft. Shift goes up, control goes down, and WASD, Q and E for your other controls. Now we'll just fast forward a little here. And I think we might overshoot it actually a little bit. Or we might not. So we've still got plenty of fuel in this, which is good. I'll just shut down that engine. And I reckon we're probably going to get pretty close. So now we'll decouple this with our next stage. Bye bye. There it goes. We'll keep the SAS off for this. When we hit about 32 kilometers, I'll slow down time so you can see the re-entry, which just got added on this update, so aren't you guys lucky? Here we go. I do apologise for the lag you were about to encounter. I've been trying to work on it. I've cleared my laptop of all these things, and I'm trying my best, so fast forward a little, bit more. Alright, I think we're probably going to overshoot this, so I'm probably going to deploy the parachutes early. About here. Oh, starting to burn up a little. And I'll just fast forward a little. So that was a pretty good re-entry. We didn't burn up too much. And as you can see, we've slowed down actually pretty quick. You can also cut parachutes, that comes in handy. See, I cut that parachute. We have a little accident. And Jebediah's got to save the day. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Well, you get the idea. This guy's screwed, and we didn't really have a successful flight, but at least the pod stayed intact. But you can get Kerbals to repack your parachutes, so that's pretty cool. Parachute deploys at 500 meters above whatever surface, and yeah, there you go. Hopefully your mission was a success. Mine wasn't quite that good. Hopefully the next one will be. Please give me feedback on what you thought of this. I might put the craft file up for download just in case you guys want it. It is pretty easy to build though, so hopefully our next tutorial we'll go through, I don't know, maybe docking or maybe going to the moon. That'll be pretty cool. So yeah, I'll see you then. This is Mr. Gilly Guys signing off, and peace out.